Good evening and welcome. Welcome to the podcast called Fight CPS Stop Taking Our Children. I'm Bob Pace, I'm your host. And I want to warmly welcome all of you that have found me on Facebook, Fighting CPS. I'm broadcasting on YouTube. I'm using the StreamYard application. And we're here to talk about the child protection system, anything related to the child protection system. And this is a room here to hopefully offer my experiences, what I went through. I've been fighting them for 15 years, and it was a horrible experience. I know you guys are also have a horrible experience about it. Now, I'd like to get over how you interact with this podcast. This is a live podcast. I'm broadcasting from Southern California, and there are 4 ways that you can interact with this podcast. And before I take any phone calls, I'd like to go over some of the ways. First way is to be a participant, just being in this podcast and listen. That's all you have to do. Take notes, and hopefully some things can help you with your family and get your family back together. You know, families are really important. I love my family dearly, and I know what it is to lose your family, to have your family broke up. But you should, if you have your family broke up, you should be offered family reunification. That's where they put the family back together again. That's where they put the family back together again. So just by listening and maybe there's some things that come up that you want to talk about. That leads me to the next way. Hi, Faye. I'm so glad you're here. Faye is from Richmond, Kentucky. And did you get the notification that I'm live, Faye? Is that notification working? She's a single mom. She's trying to get guardianship of her 23-year-old son. And he's a special needs kid. And Faye's very dedicated to her son and to her she loves pets. She has cats and dogs, so she has all there. So Faye, I don't know, did you get the notification? Did it come to you? Otherwise, I need to notify some other people there. Now, let's say you decide you want to talk. An easy way to do it is just to text in comments. What I've done now, if I put that up for you, so make sure your comments pertain to CPS questions. There's a lot of things we can talk about. Politics are really heavy right now. The Olympics are going. People have new cooking ideas, all this. But this is a room about the child protection system. It's very corrupt. They're not transparent. You're like Alice in Wonderland that have fallen in a rabbit hole and you're going nowhere. You don't know what you're doing. CPS is very confusing. It's a money-making business. They do trillions of dollars a year where the federal government pays the state, who in turn pays the county. And it's a money-making thing. Children are left in the dark. Parents are left in the dark. The only people that manipulate are the social workers. They're not trained. They're not educated. They don't have licenses. Yes, some states do. In Kentucky, they have to have a license. They have to have a college degree. In California, they don't have to have a license. They don't have to have a college degree. So when you text in a comment, please show your name, city, state, or country. And that's right, I said country because there's been 13 countries that have contacted me. We've had Bangladesh contact me, New Delhi, India. Then in the continent of Africa, we've had South Africa, one of the provinces in the South Africa has contacted me. Then on the east side, Mozambique. And Mozambique is off the island of Madagascar on the east side of Africa. Then we've had Rwanda in Central Africa, East Central Africa near Lake Victoria. Rwanda had a horrible time in 1994. 1 million people were wiped out and 400,000 females were raped. It was really sad. And so they are now better. They've texted in, And then going up to northern Africa on the coast, the west coast, is Liberia. Liberia has been texting several times. A gentleman named Archie does scouts. What that is that it used to be Boy Scouts. Now it's Scouts because they allow girls into Scouts. So they call it Scouts. So he's a leader. He works with his kids. He likes to learn things too. Then we go up to Europe, and I've talked to England, Scotland, Wales. That's the United Kingdom. They too have similar problems that we have. And then on top of that, I've talked to Denmark and Sweden. They've texted comments about them. I was surprised about Denmark and Sweden because they're so up on family values and families and so forth, but they have problems too. Then across the pond, I have North America. I have Canada. Excuse me. I've talked to both sides of Canada. I've talked to all the 50 states, including Washington, D.C., and Washington, D.C. was on last night. I've also talked to 2 social workers, got their input. They spent about 40 minutes talking about how they do things, and they were horrified when I told them what CPS really was. But I hope more social workers will call in and talk, and it's important that we hear all sides. But 99% of the people I talk, that's over 500, say that the child protection system is corrupt, bad, and their children have been trafficking into foster care, stolen, and they're doing alienation. That's where they don't tell the children what the parents are doing or anything. They try to have you lose your parents. They teach weird skills. They teach you how not to hug your parents when you see them in foster care, in the group homes. There's a lot of bad things they do. And hopefully I can tell you some things, and your case not as bad as my case was. Yes, I'm a family man. I've been married for 31 years. I have 6 children, 3 older, 3 younger. And it's my 3 youngers that they attacked. They attacked my family. They took my children out of school because they thought they were in imminent danger. Now, they're not supposed to take you from your home unless of one of 3 ways. And that's my rule number 3, part of it. I'll talk about more. But there's only 3 ways you can get in the home. Either you give permission to someone entering your home, or there's domestic violence going on where you're yelling in front of the children, or maybe you're hitting each other, or you're slapping the children against the wall. There's some harm. There's a weapon out, like a knife or a gun. The police and the child protection system, they will enter. The social workers will enter because they would not like to see anything happen to that child. They're their protected child. The third way is a warrant. And a warrant is a piece of paper that is signed by a judge, embossed with a stamp. You can feel it on the paper, and it's very specific on the warrant. It says who the warrant is to. It should be, if it's both parents will be listed. Then it should list the children and then the allegations. Further, it will tell you the date and time they can come to your home and what they can do, whether they can enter the home, talk to you, or anything. You don't have to talk to social workers. You don't have to talk to police. And if you happen to encounter them on the outside, just say, time out. I need to speak to my attorney. That's your constitutional right. You're supposed to be represented by an attorney through due process of anything that is that you're being charged with. So you can tell them, hey, look, I can't talk any further. I need to talk to my attorney first, and we'll get back to you. Make sure you get the social worker's name. Don't take their word for their name. Look at their ID, write it down. With policemen, the same thing. They may have a business card, they may not. But make sure you get their badge number because they'll lie. Social workers and police lie. They're not your friend. Remember that. They're not your friend. So anyway, I'm sitting here telling you about doing comments. That's the second way. And you want to make sure you're complete with your CPS case. You want to make sure you're complete with your CPS case. And what I mean by that is that whether you text in or you phone call in, please first start off with your makeup of your family. Is it a husband, wife? Is it girlfriend, boyfriend? Is it lovers? What is your family made of? What is it? Are both parents involved, or has one parent left? Are the children by the same father and mother? Are there different fathers and mothers? And so uh, that is important too. And then you want the ages and the sexes of the children. Are the young children, older children, 3 boys, 3 girls? And then did they have multiple parents? Or the children have multiple dads or moms or something there? So tell me your family makeup, and then tell me the allegations. Were they neglect or were they abuse? I mean, those are the two ones, and then some more details about them. And then you want to put what the allegations are. That's right. You want to put it in, and if you can, tell as much as you can say about the allegations. Then you should finish off with where you at on your case. Where you at on your case. You should finish off. And that's really important. That's really important, so that we know what you're doing there. And then, your comment will come in, and then we'll answer it. I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. I mean, I'm here to help you. I'm here to share my experiences that can make your life better. Now, the third way to interact with this podcast is to be a guest on the podcast here. I've had several guests this past week. Now, all you have to do to be a guest is contact our show producer. Her name is Grace. She works behind the scenes, helps me keep this podcast going, and very supportive. Also, she will help you with your email to her about how to get on the podcast. She'll give you the link to StreamYard. She'll tell you that you don't eat or smoke during the podcast, and that you don't use names, especially judges' names and court names and stuff like that. She'll explain all that. She'll tell you how to be a guest on the podcast. Now, her email is grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. Now, I'm on 7 days a week, twice a day. I'm on at 10 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Sunday, except tomorrow, Sunday, I'm on at 8 o'clock in the morning. I come on 8 o'clock in the morning, and so that I can go to a church and be with one of my sons. So in the evening, I'm on at 7 o'clock, and that's Pacific Standard Time. That's on the West Coast. I'm in California, Southern California. And so all you have to do in the email to Grace is say, I want to be on Bob's Wednesday morning show. Or I want to be Bob's Monday evening show. Or I want to be Bob's Sunday morning show. Or Bob's Saturday evening show. That's all you have to do. She'll take care of the rest. She'll contact you and set you up. And I'd be love to have you a guest. You can talk about your case and you can help others. We had a girl the other night that helped out people that called in. It was great. We worked together as a good team. So that's the third way you can interact with the podcast. Welcome, Shannon Broadway. She's from Oklahoma. She is a Cherokee Indian, and she's fighting the Indian Child Agency in Oklahoma. Yes, we missed you too, Shannon. And I've read both of your emails to me about your predicament there and how corrupt it is. So thank you for sending them to me. Hello, Melanie McClary. I would love to be in a podcast. I'm in Pennsylvania. Welcome. I'm glad to have you here. You can be my guest. All you have to do is email grace@vincentwdavis.com. Now, Melanie McCrary says my case was closed after a 60 safety plan expired. I have no idea what a 60 safety. I know what a safety plan is, but I don't know what it means by 60. I was forced to sign it or told my daughter it would go to foster care. CPS is always a trickster. They're trying to do something that's wrong. Also, I document thoroughly and appropriately so they couldn't lie their way through. But the damage done to my reputation and my daughter is ongoing. I'm so sorry to hear about that. And I can help you. I know Faye's in the room. She can help you too. She's a single mom, but Faye's in the room and she will help you too. There. Now, the fourth way to interact with this podcast is to call in. And I'm going to put my phone number, and I'm ready to take phone calls. So you can call me at 626-698-0990. That's my office phone number. I use Vonage. So when you call in, and I do answer the phone during the show hours. If you call me before my show hours or after my podcast, I will not be able to talk to you. I'll leave you a message. I'll text you a message that you have to call me between my show times. So the phone number is open. It's 626-698-0990, and you can talk to me. I'll put the phone on speakerphone, and that will do you there. So those are the four ways that you can interact. 1, just by being in the room. 2, by texting comments. 3, by being a guest. And 4, by calling me on the phone. 60 days. Okay, that's a short safety plan. A safety plan is usually where they put the children with a relative of yours, not in foster care. And I don't know, Melody, in Pennsylvania, how they work there, so you can help me out by filling it in and so forth. And what other questions you have. Now, Shannon from Oklahoma found out there, she has a long one here, so I'm going to put it on the screen. I found out that they tried to drag cases out to 15 months so it can move to termination rights. What crazy is, I received predated documents with dates of September, October 24th would equal 15 months for me in my case. Well, first of all, you need to point that out to your attorney, and you also need to show that to the judge. That's wrong. They should not be changing the dates. There's something called new prunc trunc that talks about, it's a Latin word where they can't change the dates. Melody says, she says, I'll put her message up there. Absolutely a single mom here as well. So she doesn't have, the father's not involved with the child. He's gone then. My daughter is 8. She's finally here with me now. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. But I would love to reach out to Grace. They put my daughter with my mom who sells drugs. Yeah, if you want to hear, Faye had a mom that I don't think she sold drugs, but she did drugs, and her mom was bad when she was in foster care 5 times. Now, if you want to reach out to Grace, that means you want to be a guest on the show. Grace is my show producer, and her email is grace@vincentwdavis.com. Grace@vincentwdavis.com if you want to be on the show. But I'd love to help you more here, Melody. I need to hear more of your questions. You can call in, and it's 626-698-0990. Now, Shannon has another message. She says, but they have to have proof of said allegations to force safety plan correct. Yes, they do. They do have to have that. Okay, and then we have another comment here. But I have the court-appointed attorney who's not doing his job right. Well, as I explained to you before in my other podcast, a court-appointed attorney is useless. Since we're talking about the court-appointed attorney, let me talk about the court-appointed attorney. A court-appointed attorney, see, by law, any criminal case or any case that you're in trouble with the law, if you can't afford an attorney, then one is appointed for you. Now, CPS, the Child Protection System, loves you to use court-appointed attorneys. Why? Well, they don't get paid very much. They don't know anything about dependency or family law. They do not know anything about dependency or family law. And that's what you're in. That's what you're in. Also, they're not going to fight for you because they don't get there's no incentive for them to fight for you. So they're going to try to settle your case or do nothing. They also have a caseload of 30 or more clients. So they don't have time for you. On top of that, you won't be able to talk to the judge because the attorney's appointing you and you can't say what you want to say. That's the drawback. When you use a court appointed attorney, you can't talk to the judge. In California, you can't even be in the courtroom. 2, they're not well trained. 3, they're not paid very much. There's no incentive for them to fight your case. 4, they have extremely heavy caseload, 30 more clients. And so it's useless to use a court-appointed attorney. And if you want to be pro se and fight them yourself, I've tried that too. I've done both. I've done both the court and the pro se attorney. So you're right. He won't do his job. For me and my judges didn't seem no better. Well, the judges are in cahoots with social services. Everybody is in cahoots. So you're in a really bad situation. I'm working on the advisements you spoke to me about next step, but no avenues or doors open to do such yet. Well, I told you, Sean, you need to contact the Bureau of Indian Affairs in Washington, D.C. You have a corrupt tribe, the Cherokee, and I'm sad to say that because I can't believe an Indian would do that. But that Attorney General, who is the executive director of the Crow Nation in Oklahoma, 7,700 square miles, is corrupt. And they're using you as hostage. And you know that's wrong. And what you text me, I know what the problem is. You need to go over their heads. You need to go ahead and they're just trying to just drive you nutty with fruitcake. Also, you need to get an attorney. Now, Melody says, absolutely, I'd love to help others because no one else ever has to go through this stuff. Yeah, that's why I try to do it. I feel like I'm trying to help others not have to experience what I experienced. It's upset my life. It's messed me up. I had to sell my home to hire an attorney, and it took me 40 years to buy that home. My credit's been corrupt by CPS. I have lousy credit now. I'm still looking for work. I'd lost my job when it started with me through no fault of my own. I was 60 years old at the time I lost my job, and it's hard to find a job out there. And I had to battle CPS for 5 years of allegations that weren't true. They were done by lay people, my in-laws, my wife's mother, father, sisters, 3 of them, and her brother. And they were saying stupid things, like the kids did not wear clothes. The kids did not take showers. The kids did not have food to eat. The kids did not go to school. You did not pay utility bills. You lived in the slums. Well, I had a $2 million home, and I don't think it was the slums. It was in a private neighborhood a mile from the beach. And I had to sell it. It was a beautiful home. 2 stories, modern, built in, I think, 1998. And had push-button switches, had vaulted ceilings, had double doors to the master bedroom. I had a rock pool and a grotto for a jacuzzi and a waterfalls. I had a tropical garden, an English garden. I had a beautiful home, 1 mile from the beach. 1 mile from the beach. Anyway, I sold it to get an attorney. Since we've been talking about an attorney, I'd like to talk about it too. And so, let me see here. Let me put my phone number back on. There it is. So you need to get an attorney. And I have an attorney that produces this podcast. His name is Mr. Davis. And he is a remarkable man. He is a family dependency lawyer with 35 years of fighting CPS. And with that being said, he's also a trial attorney. He has fought CPS and gotten children back. In fact, he's a trial attorney. He's a trial attorney. He does trials. And on top of that, he has fought CPS in civil suits, both federal and state. He's sued them. When your case is over, you can sue for perjury. You can sue for your violation of your constitutional rights. You can sue for your civil rights being violated. The only trouble is it costs money. And I didn't, after I got my sons, I hired Mr. Davis too late. I hired it about a year into my case. I tried the court-appointed attorney, that I tried pro se. I tried to fight the director of the Child Protection Service in the Orange County uh, uh, agency there, and I got nowhere. The guy lived in a Taj Mahal. The place looked like the Emerald City of the Wizard of Oz. He was so gaudy. I mean, he had so much gold around his neck. I wanted to offer him crutches so he wouldn't fall over. Everything I said went in one ear, everything went out the other. His cronies, he said it was useless trying to fight them for all the allegations they do are false. They do traffic children. They do. And they do hurt children in foster care. Foster care consists of a shelter, a group home, or a single family home. And my kids, my two boys, and my one daughter experienced it all. In fact, it got so bad, and that's why you need to get an attorney. It's like you're trying to do open heart surgery in CPS. You need to have a doctor that does open heart surgery. You yourself are not going to cut open your heart. You're not going to get a layman. You're not going to do all those things there that that you have. And so I strongly recommend that you call in. There's a number there in orange, and it's 888-888-6582. That's my office for Vincent Davis. You call in, you tell them that Bob Pace sent you, and then you make an appointment with Vincent Davis, and he'll do a consultation for 30 minutes for $60. That's a real good bargain. You're looking at $300 to $600 for that same time, but he'll do it for $60. So that's 30 minutes for $60. He will talk to you. He will help you navigate with CPS and get your kids, and he'll talk to you about representing you. He has a retainer. He worked in all the 50 states. He's done cases in Northern California. Not too long ago, he's in Oklahoma, but he goes all over. He can fight any state out there. It gets expensive because he has his per diem. He got his transportation to get there, transportation to get around at the courts, and then the accommodations. So that's where the added expenses. But his fees are based on the same as it would be in California. It's all going to depend on the complexity of your case and how long your case has been going on. But please give him a call. That's 888-888-6582. And that there's also, you can go on to online, and you go to HTTPS : it's down at the bottom of my screen, Candely, CALENDLY.com /apps, APPTS, VWD /Bob Pace. Again, it's HTTPS : Candely, CALENDLY.com /APPTS, VWD /Bob Pace. And you can see when he's available, and you can sign up that way. It's a 30-minute session for only $60. So I strongly recommend that. And it's important you have an attorney, because it's like open heart surgery. CPS are not transparent. They lie to you, and they do revenge. It's terrible. Now, I need to catch up a little bit because Faye and Melody have said certain things here. I don't know if Vincent Davis ever fought a tribe case. That's a good question. He has a podcast, and you could talk to him whenever you had a chance. I think you said you're going to give him a call, but that was Shannon. I forgot another message that Shannon put up here. Let me get that there. Okay. Shannon from Oklahoma said, "Yes, I know and agree. Just no way to do at this time. I'm trying to simply to do no availability. Nobody in DC has gotten back to me." Well, I found out with people are terrible on the phone. They don't return phone calls. I'm one of the few people in this world that does return phone calls. And if you call them one day, you're going to have to nag them weeks and weeks later. You got to keep calling them, and you need to speak to other people. You need to tell them, say, hey, I left messages. Is the director in? Can I talk to him? I mean, if the worst comes to worst, I have no problem about calling Joe Biden or Harris. I have no problem about calling either one of those. I have no problem. I've talked to my governor of the state before. I've talked to the lieutenant governor. I've gone to COs. I've gone to COs at Bank of America, Ken Lewis. I have no problem talking to COs or going to the top because that's where I get things done. So I'm sorry that no one's gotten back to you. And I know you're trying. I just feel the time is running out before they do something that can't be undone with my children. Well, I need to know more about your case, Shannon. I've only got bits and pieces of it. And it's one of the things you got to come on the show and talk to us for an hour or maybe two shows for 2 hours and tell me about your case. And maybe Faye and I can help you or other people on this podcast can help you, Shannon, because we do care. We do want to help you. We do want to help you. But you have something unusual. You have a Cherokee Nation that somehow got you under control. Somehow the CPS system in Oklahoma does not listen to the Cherokee Nation. And so, anyway, I will ask Vincent Davis has ever done a tribal case, fought a tribe. But that's something you can do too. You can, as I say, the consultation, it's $60. It's all worth it. Now, Melody says, I'm so sorry to hear that. Now I just fight custody with my mother, but have been blessed to have decent credit to get a loan to get an attorney. Good girl. I would love to sue them. I don't have the money to do so. In my country, they've had 4 provisional licenses and have just been taken over by the state. I don't know which country you're talking about, Melody. Which country are you talking about? I'd love to know if there's another country there that you've had 4 cases. Now, Faye says, yep, my mom too. She was convicted felon, substantial child abuser, and was living with 2 felons, child abusers, and registered sex offender, and they gave them my baby. And they gave me them my baby. You know, Faye she's a remarkable girl. She's been molested and raped. She's been in and out foster care 5 times. And then when she grew up, she had children, and then they took her children because Child Protection Services doesn't forget foster care people, and they come back and attack you. So you got to be careful about that. Melody says, ugh, my mom is disabled and was never charged. She sells her prescriptions, and I became addicted. Oh, geez. That sounds terrible, Melody. And then Faye says the same with her mom. And the only reason why I'm reading this is I don't think you can see the comments is why I read this. Melody says, I'm glad I caught you all live. Thank you for doing what you do. Well, thank you for being in this room. And again, you guys can call me. My phone number is, well, it's hidden right at the moment because I'm putting up the things that people are saying. Faye, what state? Well, first of all, I think Melody, she said that she was Pennsylvania, but she says that in her country, oh boy. In my country, they had 4 provisional licenses have just been taken over by the state. So I don't know what country you're talking about, Melody. And Faye is Pennsylvania. U.S. Pennsylvania. CVS had 4 licenses they could not maintain. Okay, when you said the word country, I thought you meant a state. Yes, Pennsylvania. Yes, Pennsylvania. And they had 4 licenses, but they could not maintain them. Well, Kentucky says they have to be licensed, but Faye checks in on them, and they don't enforce it. They don't enforce the license. They don't enforce them at all. They don't enforce them at all. Oh boy. My computer is starting to fall apart. Oh, geez. My screw fell out. There's a shield on the back. One moment, please. While I put it back together. It's where my hard drive and my RAM are installed. That part of the bottom there. Okay. I'm back. I had to turn the computer upside down, and now I'm adjusting myself. County. Oh boy, I need to get eyeglasses or something. You said county. I thought you said country. There's no R. This county. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. Melody. County in Pennsylvania. Does it cost to come on the show? No, it does not. You can be a guest. Contact Grace at vincentwdavis.com, or you can call in and be on the phone. There's no charge to be on the show. We'd love to have you. We love to have the input from other people. You've been in this room a long time here, Shauna. And I love to hear a perspective from a Crow Indian reservation mom who is going through everything. And I know that if you had a session with us or two, we get to the bottom of where you're at and maybe help you out even further there. Okay. I think I've caught up with everybody in the comments. So what I'm going to do is put my phone number back up so that you guys can call in. By the way, I want to welcome a new member named Crystal Salazar on YouTube. Welcome, Crystal. Welcome, Crystal Salazar. She's a new member. Now I got to scroll down to get, okay, I had to go to my banners. There's my phone number. Okay. So there's my phone number. I don't bite, and people have talked to me, so I love to hear from you. It's 626 698 0990. And you can call in. I'm live, and I'd love to talk to you. Now, some other rules. You may have been redundant if you guys want to talk about something, but okay, Melody says something. Okay. Melody says, I'm sorry to hear that. Now, I just fight custody with my mother, but have been blessed to have decent credit to get a loan to get a turn. I read that. I would love to sue them. I don't have the money to do so. In my county, they have 4 provisional licenses and have just been taken over by the state. I assume that you're talking about the CPS been taken over by the state. And I think I've read that there. Here. Okay. All right, I've slipped up too high there. I'm so sorry. We go down the bottom. Okay. Crystal's been on the show before, Bob. Okay. Which one's Crystal? Is Crystal Shannon? I'm confused now. Who is Crystal, Faye? I thought she was the I don't see Crystal in here. I don't think Melody McCree is Crystal. Yes. I know about that lady, but I was talking about, she's not on now. Crystal's not on now. But yes, if you want to know examples of social workers, Faye's talking about a girl named Crystal who was being investigated, and the investigator was a male caseworker from CPS. He went to her daughter's school. Her daughter was 13. He asked the school, he wanted to see her daughter and interview her alone, which is very strange. You don't do that. And that's really dangerous situation. But they allow him to do that. So she's in a private room. He asked her to take her clothes off so he'd take pictures of her. He's a pedophile. He's a pedophile working for CPS. And when the daughter came home, she was distraught. As you can imagine, a 13-year-old exposing her naked body to a strange man is really horrible. She told her mom. Her mom called the CPS, and the CPS fired the guy on the spot. They investigated him, and he was fired right away. But that didn't stop there. The man had a friend, a childhood friend from childhood, who worked also at at the Child Protection System, and he in turn retaliated by making up a story that the mom molested her 15-year-old son, who was being accused of molesting his 13-year-old daughter. So it really got complicated, and that was Crystal's case. That was Crystal's case. And what does SA, Faye? I forgot what SA is. Her son was accused of sexual assault. Yeah, right. Mom was sexually assaulting her older son. Yeah, who was 15, and the daughter's 13. Anyway, she's been on before. If you really want to know about examples of social workers, here's one called the Pink Ladies. In the year 2022, in Prescott, Arizona, 8 social workers, 8 of them, with over 25 years of experience, decided to make a mockery out of parents. So they bought these pink t-shirts, 8 of them, and on the front of them there was stenciled professional kidnappers, professional child kidnappers. Forgot the word child. They wrote that on the front, professional child kidnappers. And on the back they put, do you know where your kids are at? And they paraded around at Costco, Walmart, Target, Best Buys, all the big stores. And it caused such a flurry. They were fired. And so was the director of, in Arizona, that was Department of Children's Services, DCS. And so they were fired, and they were only left with one social worker, a guy, to maintain it. So that's an example of who these social workers are. Another example, didn't happen too long ago, was a lady from Chicago, Illinois, on her Facebook put an ad from 1848. It was a pre-Civil War ad. It said black children for sale. Of course, it didn't say the word black. It had the N-word. We're not allowed to use the N-word on YouTube. But it said black children for sale. And so this was run on her Facebook page the year 2024. Now, she's also a black social worker. So why would a black social worker put an ad of black children for sale from 1848, 10 years before the Civil War, 140 years ago? This is crazy. This is crazy, but that's your typical social worker. Now, another social worker, I've talked about the Pink Ladies. I've talked about the child predator that worked in CPS. I'm now talking about a social worker advertising black children for sale. There's a fourth one. It's my social worker. You know what she did? She's young. She's in her early 20s, the same age as social worker with Faye. Anyway, there was a trial going on, and my wife's sister was trying to adopt our daughter. We didn't want it to happen, but her and her husband were trying to do it. And in the process, the social worker was put on the stand. And then our attorney, and I hired Mr. Davis, by the way. It took me a year, but I did get him. He got my boys back. We lost my daughter. But he asked her, has there been any domestic violence with the parents that want to adopt our daughter? And that was my wife's sister and her husband. And the social worker said, no, they're beautiful parents. No such thing. No problems at all. No domestic violence. Well, Vincent went to his briefcase, pulled out a folder that was about an inch thick of all these police reports. All these police reports that send horrendous domestic violence between the two. Yelling and shouting and hitting and everything. That's the environment you're going to put our daughter in? That is safe? The social worker had mud on her face. She was so red. She had lied. She had perjured herself. She could be sued. She could be sued for perjury. That is wrong. That is wrong. And she afterwards told us parents, you're never going to see your daughter again. She said that to us. I could not believe that. You know what she did? She told her 12-year-old daughter, who had not seen us since she was taken. She was taken from us in 2015. I was 65 years old at the time. So it was pretty tough. But anyway, she was told by the social worker to emancipate from the parents. That means to divorce your parents, divorce your brothers, divorce your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, and your grandparents. To change your name, just to seal your birth certificate, and to be adopted into foster care. She did all those things. A girl of 12 doesn't know all that stuff. And a social worker took revenge. That's what's so sick about these social workers. That's why you can't trust them. They bring you up, they tear you down. They lied to you. They bring you up and they tear you down. So that's my daughter, and it hurts because she's now 22 years old. I've not seen her for 9 years. I've not seen her since she's 12. She's beautiful. My boys still see her, and I see bits and pieces of her life, but I don't get to enjoy her life. And then she was hurt in foster care. Now she's living with my older sister, my older daughter. She's living with my older daughter, so I know she's safe. But ever since we had the rift, is my older kids are not communicating with us, their mother or their father. This whole episode that took me for 3 years to get my boys back hurt the hell out of us. Hurt us hell. We are so messed up. It's wrong. And you out there are either beginning your case or been fighting your case like Faye or like Shannon, the Cherokee, or Melody, or anything like that. I know how you are. I know how you feel. But you got to be a fighter. You got to not give up. It's really hard out there. It really is. It really is. I like to finish rule number 3. Now, rule number 3 is that you don't allow people in your home. You don't answer. When you answer the door, you don't let them in. And why? There's been 2 people lately that have been shot and killed by opening the door. We have Roger, a black airman of the United States Air Force, 23 years old, on May 3rd, was shot point blank by 5 rounds in a gun. I don't know what police do when they go to shooting school. I don't know if they knew how to shoot somebody, maybe not to kill them. And why do you have to overkill somebody with 5 bullets? It only takes 1 bullet to kill somebody. And that policeman shot Roger in the chest. A black man, dead, dying on the phone when he's talking to his girlfriend on FaceTime. It's all being recorded. It's all being recorded. And that is sad. That is sad. That is very, 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 very sad. And the rule is you don't answer the door. What that sheriff was doing, he's from Gainesville. It took him a week before they fired him. They never did press charges against him for the murder. But when he first approached the apartment, which was a good apartment, and it was locked up and everything, he was suspecting of domestic violence. He was at the wrong apartment. And what happened is that instead of knocking on the door and saying, hello, this is the Gainesville Sheriff's Department, I'm here to investigate domestic violence, he said nothing. He'd go bang, bang, bang. And then the guy in there thought it was somebody that was going to hurt him. So he had a gun. He had a license to wear a gun and shoot a gun. But his gun was down at his side. It was not pointing at the officer. So when the guy opened the door, the officer took his gun and shot 5 times the guy's chest. Why? Why? The sheriff could have approached the door to the side. Because, if you approach a front door and you're on the outside, if a guy has a gun, he could shoot you through the door. So that sheriff is lucky he's alive. But they should have prosecuted him. They should have prosecuted, but they didn't. They took a week and they laid him off. There will be a lawsuit. There's a lawyer the mother's got. They're from Alabama. They got a good attorney. The guy that did George Floyd. That attorney. He's a black attorney, very good. They will get him. He'll get a civil lawsuit against him. As I always say, what comes around goes around. The yin and the yang. So anyway, the rule is you don't open a door. You go hide someplace. I mean, if that sheriff had maybe identified himself, was at the side of the door jamb, squatting low, and tell the guy inside, "Hi, are you alone? I'm here for domestic violence report." And then he could have also further said, "I want you to lay down. If you have a weapon, put it to your side, and then put your hands behind your head. Unlock the door first, of course." Then he could have opened the door, peered in, assessed the situation, slide the weapon further away so he knew where it was, take the guy's hands behind his head, put him in handcuff, search the apartment for other people, and then the guy would be alive. The sheriff would have found it was a wrong mistake. But here's this guy at age 23. He no longer gets to complete his circle of life. Think what he could have done. He could have maybe become president of the United States. So I'm telling you, a simple thing like open the door could be disaster. And if you haven't heard about that one, recently we have a black woman that was shot point blank in the face 5 times. And the sheriff, that came to investigate was a really tough guy. He was a really macho guy. And he was arguing with her, and he shot her. And right away, the police fired him that night and charged him with first-degree murder. You don't shoot people. I know that policemen are shot all the time. I know policemen are killed. It's a tough job. But learn to shoot somebody in the foot or the hand or something. Disable them. And then maybe you can work out the problems that are happening. They're still alive. But anyway, my rule number 3 is you don't answer the door. And you certainly don't let the police or social workers. As I told earlier, there's 3 ways. Either you give them permission, or there's domestic violence going on, or you have a court order. So you don't let them in. And I already told you outside, you tell them you need to speak to your attorney, so you stay away from there. Don't talk to social workers. Don't talk to police. Say yes, no answers. Also, there's medical trafficking you have to worry about. There's people with medical trafficking you have to worry about. So I'm saying that you have to be careful when you take your children to the emergency or to the urgent care, because there's case workers, CPS, Child Protective System workers there. They'll take your children because it's something maybe you unintentionally did or something. So be heads up. Don't give them. They need to have a court order. They cannot take your child. And bring them to the hospital is not immediate danger. My kids were in school, and they took them out of school because they thought they're in immediate danger, imminent danger. Also, if you're pregnant, you're going to have your child, be very careful there. Don't give them your baby, because they're going to try to take your baby if you test positive or something. Check beforehand if the social workers work there at the hospital. Be very careful. It's called medical trafficking they're doing. They're doing also the other kind of trafficking too. So that's my rule number 3. Rule number 1 was the attorney, and we're slowly closing out our show here. Rule number 2 is your paperwork of things. Get an 8.5 by 11-inch notebook, 3-ring binder, 3 to 6 inches thick. Fill it with subject dividers. You can buy 10 or 20 subject dividers. And organize your notebook with different things. One of them is called incidents. So everything that happens is an incident, whether with the police, your children, the school, the CPS. You want to write it down, the date, the time, the location, and who is involved. Then you write in 1 or 2 sentences what the incident is about. Then you write the outcome. What was the outcome? The outcome may take a year or 2 to finish, but come back later, leave space and fill it in. Then skip it, write more incidents. Use college rule notebook paper. I find using a day runner or your computer or your phone, it's too small. It's too hard to see everything. I still think the old-fashioned way of a notebook with notebook paper is the best way to do it. And you can do the same thing with your programs, your parenting classes, your court papers. You just divide everything up, make logs, and organize it. Organize it. And use a highlighter, a pink or yellow highlighter will help you find things better, because a year later you'll need to know it. A new later you need to know it. I missed some comments, and I'm sorry. I did not know these comments. There's delay. Crystal Salazar. You said she was on YouTube. Crystal Salazar has been on, the show YouTube. I mean, our show. She was on our show. Shannon says, why doesn't it show everyone's comment? I can only see my own in live chat. I don't know. I have to look into that further. I'll have to ask my producer. But I do share it with everybody in here. Shannon says, I feel what happened with you, daughter, is happening with my son they have in custody. It will. They will convince him, and it's bad. Now, here's the last comment I'm going to post. My time is almost up. But Shannon says, can they force you to go to one particular service over another? Before they took my son into custody, they came to my door with a supposed legal referral, told me I had to remove him out of the counselor I had him in and put them in one that they selected. I later found out that this was a part of their scheme. Well, stop there for a second. You still have your educational rights. They cannot interfere with your educational rights. They cannot interfere with your medical rights. They're going to trick you. I found later this was part of their scheme, another pawn they were trying to use in the situation. You're true. At that time, they did this. I held all rights and custodies. When I asked them to have a copy of the document or see it, they told me they can only, they're going to lie. In fact, why are you talking to them? You have to learn to say yes, no, and have an attorney talk. I know you don't have an attorney. You have a court-appointed attorney. That's another bad thing about court-appointed attorneys. They won't come to represent you when you talk to them. They don't have time. That's another fallacy of a court-appointed attorney. By you talking to them, it's just yes, no answers. It's yes, no answers. And then my rule number 4 is the research. You guys spend hours and hours researching, 60 hours about CPS. The power of the internet will help you. There's so much you learn on there. There's so much that I found on there, which is good. So anyway, that's the last comment that I have from Shannon. I want to thank all the people that participated in tonight's podcast. I want to thank Shannon from Oklahoma. She's a Cherokee Indian. I want to thank Faye from Richmond, Kentucky, a single mom fighting to get custody of her 23-year-old son. I want to thank Melanie McCreary from Pennsylvania, who has a very difficult case, and she's going to try the call in or be a guest on my show. Then I want to thank, who else we got here? Did I leave anybody else out? I don't think so. And I want to thank all you people out there that are not saying anything. They're listening. I have a lot of you out there. I have about 10 or 15 of you out there. And thank you for emojis. I appreciate all the hearts, the loves, and stuff you give. That's really nice. Thank you. Okay, well, that ends my show. Looks like I went over quite a lot tonight. I've only done the show for 58 minutes. I guess it started kind of late tonight. Okay, well, I'm going to see you tomorrow. Now, remember, tomorrow I'm on at 8 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Times. God bless you all. Keep fighting for your kids. And this is Bob Pace telling you good night.